All right, let's talk about one of the most stressful jobs in digital marketing, taking over a complex Google Ads account. It honestly feels like someone just tossed you the keys to a spaceship but forgot the instruction manual. It's a massive challenge, and frankly, it's where millions in ad spend can just disappear. So today, we're going to break down a blueprint to turn all that chaos into crystal clarity.
So, have you ever been there? In that hot seat, you're the new person on the block, you've just been handed an account that's been running for years, and the pressure is on to get up to speed, like yesterday. If that sounds even a little familiar, you know that feeling of controlled panic. Let's talk about how to actually manage it.
The typical handover, well, it's a story we all know way too well, right? It's just a scramble. The information you need is somehow everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. You've got one person from the old team telling you one thing, someone else telling you the exact opposite, and before you know it, you're just drowning in details with no life raft in sight. And that feeling of chaos, it's pretty much universal. I mean, the story that inspired this whole process was about a massive account that an agency had managed for over 3 years. When it was time to switch, key info was just gone. One person knew about the campaigns, another knew the billing quirks, and a third person knew about the landing pages. It was a total mess. Endless meetings, conflicting advice, and no single place to find the truth.
But what if there was a way to fix all this? A simple but really powerful tool that could bring some order to all that chaos. Let's talk about the solution, the Knowledge Transfer Document, or as we'll call it, the KT Doc.
So this document, this is our hero. The KT document is just a single, central home for everything. And I really do mean everything related to the account. Think of it like the account's biography. It's got the history, the big wins, the epic fails, and all of its weird little quirks. It is the single source of truth that everyone can actually rely on.
Hey, don't just take my word for it. The person who came up with this whole process said it flat out. He said it solved 100% of our problem. Why? Because, in his words, it stopped things from getting tangled. I mean, that's an incredibly powerful reason to take the time to build one of these, right?
Okay, so where do you even start with this thing? Well, before you look at a single campaign, a single keyword, anything, there is one non-negotiable, super high-stakes step you absolutely have to take, and that is verifying ownership.
And let me be perfectly clear. This is not a suggestion. It is a command. The source material is dead serious about this. If you cannot confirm 100% that the client truly owns the account and all its assets, you stop the process right then and there. It is that critical.
This whole process breaks down into 4 essential checks. First up, admin access. Does the client have full admin rights? Not just standard, not read-only, full admin. Second, who controls the billing? Is the client's credit card on file or is it the old agency's? This is so important for avoiding a mess later. Third, you have to check if the account is locked inside an old agency's manager account, their MCC. If it is, it's got to be unlinked. And finally, you have to confirm ownership of the related Google Analytics 4 and Google Tag Manager properties. Get all of these answers in writing.
Okay, so once ownership is confirmed, it's time to put on your detective hat. Seriously, now you get to dig into the account's past to really understand what it's been through, because you just can't build a successful future for an account if you don't understand its history.
Now, the heart of your investigation is going to be a brutally honest assessment of what worked and what didn't. The goal here is pretty simple. You have to learn from the past so you don't repeat the same expensive mistakes. Which campaigns were absolute home runs? Which ones were total duds? And maybe the most important question of all, why?
Your investigation should cover a few key areas. You'll definitely want to check the change history for any big dramatic shifts in the last couple of months. You also really need to understand the logic behind how the campaigns are structured. Oh, and this is a huge one from the source, you've got to map out all the landing page dependencies. In their situation, they found out the account was using 3 or 4 different landing page tools, and nobody even knew who owned the subscriptions. Yikes.
You know, digging into the tiny details really matters. For instance, are the audiences in the account set to observation, which just gathers data? Or are they set to targeting, which actively narrows who sees the ads? A simple misunderstanding here can have a massive impact on performance. A good KT doc makes these granular settings super clear, so there's absolutely no guesswork. All right, now for one of the most important and maybe a little counterintuitive parts of any takeover. It's not about what you're going to change on day one. It's about what you are going to promise not to change. Let this one sink in for a second. When you take over an account, your #1 job is to keep the ship steady. You are not there to be a hero on day one.
Your top priority has to be making sure that whatever is already working continues to work. This is all about lowering your risk and building trust right from the very beginning.
You know, there's a great story where the outgoing agency was just completely honest. They said, look, this campaign is doing great, but it was really, really hard to get it stable. Whatever you do, don't touch it for a while. I mean, that's priceless advice. Your KT doc should have a crystal clear list of these areas, the reason why you shouldn't mess with them, and a date for when you'll come back and review them.
And finally, you have to close the loop. A handover isn't really done until it's formally and officially signed off by both sides. And this isn't just a formality, okay? It's about creating clear accountability and giving everyone involved some peace of mind.
So this final handshake is just a simple 3-step process. First, the outgoing team confirms in writing that the KT doc is complete and everything's been transferred. Second, the incoming team, that's you, acknowledges that you've received it and you understand it. And finally, both of you agree on a short buffer period, maybe just 2 or 3 days, for any last-minute questions. This makes sure the transfer of responsibility is clean, simple, and totally professional.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. Look, anybody can be given access to a Google Ads account. That's just handing over the keys. But without a process, without a deep understanding of its history and its structure, you don't have the blueprint. And if you don't have the blueprint, you're not building anything. You're just guessing.